Hey, it's Designer Lily. I'm a senior product designer working in Silicon Valley, and less than a year ago, I made predictions in my video that Figma was going to use AI to replace designers. And at the time, this video didn't get much traction, and I don't want to replay it here because I had this thing where I can't watch my past videos. But what I predicted was that Figma was going to use its cloud data because every time you design in Figma, you have to have an internet connection. And that means all the designs and permutations and variations and movements that you make in Figma, all that is going to be uploaded to its cloud. So every time you design in Figma, it is saving to their cloud. And that eventually, what I said in the video was that they're going to use this data to train their AI, which is what you see is happening today, where essentially every user replace themselves by training AI. They're opting everyone into this program unless you opt out in some obscure setting. And I was saying that they've been probably working on generative AI features ever since AI was announced. And it's not surprising that they're heading down this road, especially since Adobe tried to acquire them for $20 billion. And the only reason why Adobe would be interested in buying Figma is because of the data. Because Adobe, again, can copycat virtually any feature they come out with. They have the teams, they have the resources, they have the money to just essentially make a copycat version of Figma. But why they didn't do that and why they wanted to purchase Figma is because Figma's cloud has essentially the entire technology industry's worth of designs. Every kind of tech company you can think of out there, every kind of product, every size, whether it's a small startup with the latest innovation or a big tech company or a bank, every permutation of every kind of design lives in Figma because virtually every team out there uses Figma, except Apple. Apple's the one exception who uses Sketch still. As you all know, this is not only unique to Figma, as Adobe has already been doing this with Photoshop and probably with Illustrator, After Effects, and rest of the tools in the future. But that is why, at the time, I made those predictions that Figma was going to use AI to replace its own users, just like Adobe did with Photoshop and its editors. But also other companies like Microsoft can do this with GitHub as well, and probably already are, in which they have the data of millions and millions and millions of developers and coders and full-stack engineers, and they can then use this data to train AI. So this is happening across all industries, not just design. And with the way that things are heading, in which the more designers use Figma, the more data Figma has, therefore the more that it can train its AI to replace those designers. This loop is what is spreading fear in the industry and why when Figma announced AI features, there was like silence in the crowd. Now in this video, I want to talk about how as a designer we can evolve and adapt with the times, because let's face it, no matter how much we try to resist the fact that Figma is trying to use AI to replace the work of many, many designers, it is not going to change the inevitable, which is that they are going to do that regardless of how we feel. Now, why I wanted to create this video is to not only acknowledge what is happening today and opening up a greater discussion, but also to share thoughts about how to grow as a designer moving forward so that you can protect your future self and watch out for the best opportunities starting today. Here are my 3 strategies, with number 1 being the most immediate that I'll implement, which is number 1, I'll seek out projects that are ambiguous and complex in nature. And the more complex and more ambiguous, the better it is for my growth and probably my future career security as well. So what I mean by that is if you have opportunities to work on complex features that are intertwined with other functionalities or other features that are really just affecting the larger surface areas of the entire product, that is usually a good sign. So I think everyone starts off as a designer that is maybe junior, who solves like really straightforward problems that are easier in nature. And as you progress in your career, you can choose to solve the harder and harder and more complex problems. And that is a choice. There are designers out there who maybe they choose to go into projects that are legacy projects that maybe are not as complex in nature. Maybe they are looking to go to a team that is slower in pace. That's okay too, because work-life balance is a priority for a lot of people. I mean, I myself would rather live in a world with work-life balance as well. But the unfortunate reality is that if you want to be someone who can solve hard and tough problems, you have to continuously put yourself in uncomfortable situations and uncomfortable projects that are outside your comfort zone. And then that is the only way you can develop the skill of being a really good problem solver. So no easy answers on that one. Just seek complex, ambiguous problems that are tough to solve, and usually that is going to be job security, regardless AI exists or not. The second strategy is becoming an advanced and specialized designer rather than a generalist one. With the rise of AI, a lot of the common work or B-level work can be easily outsourced by AI. And AI doesn't do exceptional like A+ tier work, like the kind of work that's cutting edge or innovation. Because after all, AI uses training data from commonly known examples. And that's what I mean about being an advanced designer, that you're able to take work that is good and then make it great because you had the skills that are exceptional to execute at that level. That's something that AI cannot replace anytime soon. For example, the designers who can do truly advanced prototyping that involve coding is probably in the hundreds in the entire world. And these are the designers who basically can code interactions because they're so complex that you have to require a solid understanding of Python or JavaScript or whatever code language you decide to use in order to execute that vision. Those jobs are the ones that are difficult to acquire in terms of knowledge, but also are the safest against AI. Another skill set you can choose to grow is becoming advanced in visual design. So you may become the spokesperson for visual design at your company, where you're up-leveling not only the craft of work that you do, but other people are coming to you as reference as well. As a whole, you're able to elevate your team together. Or maybe you are someone who wants to become better at product thinking. You could give your product manager a run for their money, and when there's no product manager, you have enough expertise that you could become the product manager for that team. You should opt to become exceptional at a few rather than just being good at a bunch. The third strategy is really more life advice in general, which is to really focus and invest a lot in your personal development. A lot of us, when we work in jobs, we tend to forego our self-development and learning, and we tend to just stick with our role and then get comfortable with it. Because yes, AI can replace a lot of the common tasks that we spend our time doing, but even with AI around, people are still gravitating towards other people. What will never change is things like public speaking, knowing how to collaborate with people, knowing how to manage different relationships. Things like being someone who can do the hard things, being someone who can step up and take the challenge when nobody else wants to. And that kind of person who's like a walking money bag of value is never going to be threatened by AI. That person is someone who can adapt, whether they're a designer, a developer, a salesperson, whatever they do, they're going to be good at it because they intrinsically are motivated by self-growth. Anyways, those are my 3 strategies on how I plan to grow and develop as a senior product designer in San Francisco, in Silicon Valley. And the theme of this message is really just seek to become a problem solver because at the end of the day, anyone who hires you, it's because they want you to solve their problem. So if you have the mentality of wanting to help others and solving problems, then you're going to be all right. I'm going to go run because it's getting dark and I'm going to grab some dinner. I filmed this after work, so it's been quite a long day for me. But thank you so much for stopping by and hanging out with me. And if you want to see me again and get more design and life advice, then hit that subscribe button and notification bell. And I'll see you next time. Take care.